PlayStation 4 has been out since 2013 and has sold millions since, with great exclusives like Bloodborne and others. It's no wonder it's still one of the 3 major consoles. However, have you wondered what other things your PS4 can do? Well, here at TheGamer, we're going to look at some of the extra features in your PS4 you may not have known about. Before we begin, don't forget to check out this newest feature on YouTube and subscribe to TheGamer for more videos. Now, let's go and mess around with our PS4s. Number 10. Facial recognition. You might be thinking that facial recognition is just something in sci-fi movies and Xbox Ones, but you would be mistaken. On launch, the PS4 was capable of facial recognition. Many people didn't really buy into this because the feature required you to buy a PS4 camera attachment. Fans of PlayStation might have remembered the spectacular failure that was the iToy back with the PS2 and thought, yeah, maybe having an iToy for PS4 was not worth it. While it might be scary to imagine a camera watching your every move, it can be a useful tool for security when signing in. For this feature, you will need a PS4 camera. Once you have that, simply go into your settings, then login settings, then enable face recognition. With this feature, you can sign into your PlayStation 4 with just your face. This may seem harmless, but a few of you may remember the 2016 PlayStation Network hack, where millions of players' accounts were hacked. Now, only having facial recognition may not completely prevent a hack of your account, but just like with two-step verification on most social media platforms and other apps, it may help better protect your information from being leaked and leading to a hack of your account. Number 9. Sharing screen caps. Now this tip might not be for the hardened PS4 owners, but even still, most people forget that sharing screenshots on console games is becoming easier than ever. Gone are the days of taking pics of your screen with your phone, like ye olden days of 2010. Now, your amazing vantage points and quirky glitches can be saved via a button on your DualShock controller. However, the default share settings are not ideal. In default, you have to hold down the share button for a few seconds for it to work. Luckily, there's a way to make it easier. Simply tap the share button once to open up the share menu. Once you do this, press the options button on the other side of the controller, and then share settings button control type to change how the share button functions. One of the options you can choose is so that simply tapping the share button once captures the screenshot. Now, with these easy to follow instructions, sharing your awesome Assassin's Creed kill will be all that easier. It's even easier than taking a pic with your phone. Man, if we only had this back then.
Hey guys, we're excited to announce the Premium Network. The Premium gets you early access to videos from The Richest, Screen Rant, The Taco, The Sportster, The Things, and many other great channels. Literally thousands of videos in one place, with an ad-free browsing experience. Check out the Premium by clicking on this link. Sign up for free and start binge-watching videos from your favorite channels.
Number 8. Standby charging. The DualShock controllers are a nice addition to the PS4 experience. No one is denying that. The problem is, they don't have a super long battery life. While they can hold a charge for about 7 hours at full, in retrospect, that's just about one long gaming session. And if you want to pull an all-nighter, then you're gonna have to go wired. Nothing is more infuriating than having your controller die just as you're about to fight the Dancer of the Boreal Valley in Dark Souls 3. So what is one to do when their controller goes kaput? Well, the obvious answer would be to have your PS4 on and charge it that way. But an easier and more energy-efficient way is to put your PS4 on standby mode. Think of this as putting your laptop on sleep mode. It powers the console down without turning it off completely. This way you can charge your controllers without having to leave it on. So, to put your PS4 on standby, simply go to your power settings from your main menu and select the Set Functions in Standby mode and select the Power Supply through USB ports function. Number 7. Motion control typing. Do you remember back when you had to type in your character name manually using the analog sticks? Or when you had that full keyboard attachment on your Xbox 360 controllers? Yes, those were dark, horrible times. Don't let those 90s kids tell you any different. Before, there were D-pads, and now we have full motion controls, and they can be used for typing. Yes, the PS4's light bar can be used for motion tracking typing. While some may see this as more complicated than using the analog sticks, we at TheGamer see it as an innovative way to utilize motion controls. Perhaps what makes this easier is that the PS4 light bar is actually more responsive than the Kinect. When you're prompted to type something on the screen, simply press down the right analog stick and you can now use motion tracking typing. With this feature, you can hover the cursor over the letters you want to input by pressing X. You can also use this for creating shortcuts that you've made on the keyboard. For example, having the backspace key be the square button. It's a charming feature, but it can be improved by having the player use a full keyboard in their hands, like on their phone. Number 6. Your phone is the keyboard. Did someone say convenient transition into the next topic? Because that's what it was. So let's say that motion tracking typing is a bit too much for you, and you think to yourself, gosh, if only I could use my phone to type, which makes sense. Chances are you spend a lot of time on your phone, so you're already acclimated to the feel of typing with your thumbs. You have all your shortcuts and what you have already stored on your phone, and you want to use that to better your social experience online. Well, fret not, because Sony has you covered. You can download the PlayStation app from the App Store for free. From there, make sure your PS4 and your phone are connected to the same Wi-Fi network. After that, go to your settings and hit PlayStation app connection settings and select add a device. From there, open up the PlayStation app and select connect to PS4 and enter the code that appears on your TV. Now you can effortlessly switch between your phone and controller for ease and utility. Having these two features highlights the wide array of options you as a player has when engaging with people online through your PS4. Number 5. Managing your data. Look, there are a lot of benefits to having a plug-and-play console system. You have those sweet exclusives, a place for couch co-op, and a convenient system that plays great games and has HD movies. Plus, it's also a Blu-ray player to boot. However, having all those apps and games can cost a lot of data, and one of the drawbacks is that you can't just add internal hard drives to a console to give it more space. So, managing your data is extremely important. Luckily, the PS4 makes it easy to manage your data. All you need to do is go to Settings and then go to System Storage Management. From there, you can see all of your data on your hard drive by category and can delete old files or unwanted games you no longer play. From here, you can utilize some of these great tips for managing your storage. Compliments of the gamer. Make sure you delete screenshots and videos that you've already transferred onto your other devices. If they no longer serve a purpose on your console, get rid of it. If all those games and screenshots mean so much to you, consider investing in an external hard drive. Using the USB port, it's possible to store your data on an external hard drive. Number 4. Get more out of your controllers. So you know how we mentioned before that DualShock controllers were nice? Well, they are, but they're also battery hogs. Now you might be asking, how? Well, the answer is the innocent-looking blue light bar. Aha! Caught them blue-handed. The thing is, the light on your DualShock controllers can be adjusted, which can save you some battery life in the long run. Here's how you do it. First, hit the home button controller in the center. Then, from the menu, select Adjust Sounds and Devices. You can then select the brightness of DualShock light bar and set it to dim. There are some other handy tips that can increase the battery life of your controllers. One of them is disabling the rumble function. While it may defeat the purpose of a DualShock controller to not have its DualShock, the time added to the battery life might be worth it. Another helpful tip is to reduce the speaker volume on the controller. While having sounds from your controller adds to the immersion, disabling it can add to the battery life. All these tips might be taking away things that make the PS4's controller unique, but hey, you have to make that 24-hour live stream happen one way or another. Number 3. Play your PS4 games on your Vita. Nintendo shocked the world with the Switch, a game system that allows you to take it on the go with you. Yet people tend to forget that PS Vita already did that years before the Switch, way back in 2013. It was marketed heavily during the PS4's launch, the ability to play almost any PS4 game on the go through your PS Vita. There were only 2 problems with this ploy. First, PS Vita sales were not doing so hot. In fact, they're still not so hot. In fact, we're pretty sure this feature didn't do too much to drive up the sales of PS Vitas here in the US. And second, the process was not explained at the time. In any case, if you have the actual system and a Vita, you can link the two through Remote Play. Simply go to your settings and then PS Vita Connections. Once there, select Add a Device and enable your device in your PS4. While the utility of this feature seems amazing, keep things in perspective. You may not be able to play literally everywhere, like on a mountain trail, but if you want to get in a few games of NCAA on your morning commute to work or school, it's perfect for that. Number 2. Finding the rarity of your achievements. They're the driving force for 100% completionists out there, and having a high gamertag score is almost like having a Medal of Honor in some circles. Like the previous console, PlayStation 4 uses the trophy system that acts like the achievement system for Xbox. However, did you know the PS4 will tell you the rarity of those trophies? Have you ever gotten a trophy and thought, that was too easy? Or, geez, I bet no one has gotten that before. Well, in your trophy case, there is a percentage rating that will tell you how rare a trophy is, along with a rarity system that goes all the way to ultra rare. With this system, you can gloat all you want to your friends about the trophies you got, or be envious of your friends that have even rarer trophies. Of course, there are trophies out there that are more valuable than you can possibly imagine. A few select games have the honor of having trophies that less than 1% of players have. Could it be the trophy's hard to get, or is the game obscure, or both? IGN has a great guide on rare trophies. You should totally check them out. After the video, of course. You don't want to miss number 1. Number 1. Remote play from your Mac or PC. So you want to play your PS4 remotely, but don't have a PS Vita. If you're in the US, it's very likely you don't have one, or you just never bothered to get one because why would you? Never fear, because you don't even need a TV for this feature. Remote play allows you to play your PS4 wirelessly on a computer in your house. To enable this feature, you must download a file onto your computer, link in the description. From there, go to your PS4 and go to Settings, then Remote Play Settings, and enable Remote Play. While your PS4 is on, connect a PlayStation controller to your computer using a USB port and launch the Remote Play software. So you might be asking, what's the point of Remote Play? Picture this, you're playing your PS4 and using the TV, but then your roommate wants to watch TV. So, like the good person you are, you let them have the TV and go to your computer to resume playing through Remote Play. Come to think about it, isn't that similar to what the Wii U tablet was marketed for? Very sneaky, Nintendo. Very sneaky. And there you have it. 10 features of the PlayStation 4 you may not have known about. We hope you use these new features to impress your friends, or at the very least, enhance your PlayStation experience. Do you know any hidden features? If so, let us know down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to TheGamer and check out our playlist of videos. You might just find your next favorite thing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on TheGamer.
One of the biggest highlights of the PS4 Pro is the ability to play 4K games. That's not the only perk of upgrading to this powerful and incredible system. Completely change the way you game on a daily basis by learning about these 10 hidden features within the PS4 Pro. Before you watch, press subscribe and ring that bell to join our notification squad and be the first to know of new content. Number 10. Wi-Fi enhancements. One of the biggest issues with the original PS4 was the lack of full Wi-Fi support. Wi-Fi signals are split between 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz connections. When using a router with a 5 GHz connection, you have faster speeds, less lag, and your games can handle online gaming a lot better. 5 GHz Wi-Fi compatibility was not available with the original PS4. This has completely changed for the PS4 Pro. Now you can connect to both types of Wi-Fi speeds and have options for your gaming. Not only does this help for general gaming, but it helps for any streaming sessions you plan on doing. The PS4 Pro allows you to stream gaming content at a full 1080p. These captures can be made a lot easier with the improved Wi-Fi options. Capture streaming footage, increase your speed, and play all of your favorite games without any rage quits after lag issues. The Wi-Fi settings can be adjusted within the menu, but you can also set your Wi-Fi options manually. Not only does this connection help when you're playing, but it also helps with any game downloads you have. Games will download faster and provide you with the best connection possible. Number 9. 4K video streaming. The PS4 Pro is not just for playing high-quality games. The console also comes loaded with all types of streaming services. If you thought 4K video games were good, then you can only imagine how crazy movies and television shows look when they air in 4K. The PS4 Pro has a number of streaming apps that support 4K viewing options. One of the most popular is Netflix. By upgrading your Netflix package, you can enable the option to view 4K movies and shows. Netflix has a specific collection of 4K titles for streaming. This includes almost all of their original content like Stranger Things, The Ranch, and House of Cards. Along with Netflix, you can get streaming access to YouTube content and a number of 4K movie services. 4K sporting events are also increasing in popularity, allowing you to watch football, soccer, basketball, baseball, and other popular events in glorious 4K. Subscription packages to the sports content can be accessed directly on the PS4 Pro. As 4K technology gets more popular, the quality and quantity of these options will only improve. Getting access on the PS4 Pro allows you to easily get all the content and instantly log in. Number 8. VR improvements. One of the biggest hits for the original PS4 console was the add-on of the VR headset. The PlayStation VR is an immersive experience with great ways to play, fluid controls, and incredible graphics. While the VR screen is not a 4K design, there are still advantages to using the VR headset with the PS4 Pro. The graphics and frame rate are dramatically improved for the console. Comparison videos have shown how similar they are. This can be seen in Sony-developed games like the Playroom VR and Batman Arkham VR. The frame rates make a huge difference and really immersing yourself into the game and getting the full VR experience. It's only in the early stages of development, but games will only improve as they get released for the VR and PS4 Pro. Just like regular games, downloading updates and patches will help improve the graphics when you pair your VR with the PS4 Pro. Eventually, the VR headset may have some type of hardware upgrade that includes 4K visuals. By then, your whole VR game library can support these changes and provide you with an ultra-realistic gaming experience. Until then, take advantage of the improvements now and get lost in the VR world. Number 7. Updating games you own. One of the biggest selling points on the PS4 is the ability to play all of the new 4K games that have been released. The visuals are stunning in games like Uncharted 4: A Thief's End and FIFA 17. Your old PS4 game collection doesn't need to start collecting any low-quality dust, though. A lot of developers have already shown their commitment to 4K gaming and have adapted upgrades for several of the games. You can manually, game by game, see what types of patches are available. Even if a 4K patch isn't available for a game you own, there may be upgrades to help improve the graphics and frame rate. This can make a huge difference, especially if you're playing on a 4K television. Take the time to go through your game library, revisit old favorites, and really see how 4K can benefit you. Checking out full lists online can help you see what games already have updates and which ones are scheduled for them in the future. This gives you a lot to look forward to and will really help you take advantage of the console upgrade. Number 6. App download connections. Digital game downloads completely change the way players access games. As the download bar slowly progresses, the anticipation builds. Download times can also cut into your playing time. The PS4 Pro helps cut down on these waiting times at home thanks to the PlayStation app. The PlayStation app can be accessed on mobile devices like tablets and phones. Through the app, you can browse the PlayStation Store and get access to your PlayStation Plus account to see the free games available. Once you've found a game you love, you can automatically start the download on your console at home. The key to this is putting the PS4 Pro on sleep mode, which can be activated through the app. Whether you're at school, at work, or just out for the day, your downloads can get started and be fully ready for your arrival when you get home. This saves a lot of time and keeps you from being tethered to your console all day long. This also allows you to process any game cards you've purchased. For example, if a store has a digital game card on sale, you can purchase it and redeem the code directly from your phone. Number 5. HDMI device link. Do you long for the old days when you could just pop a cartridge into your NES and start the game? Sure, blowing into the cartridge may have been a pain, but games typically would load a lot faster than modern-day consoles. Now you have to turn on the TV, set the proper input, go through the main gaming screen, and select your game. If mandatory updates are available, then you may find you're stuck waiting even longer. Thankfully, the PS4 Pro startup process helps eliminate a little of this time. A menu option of the PS4 Pro allows you to set the console to have an HDMI device link. This means that when the PS4 is powered on, it'll automatically trigger a connection through the HDMI port the console is plugged into. This will turn your TV on and automatically set the proper input on your television. There's no need to fumble around with multiple remotes. You can simply hold the DualShock controller, enjoy the main screen, and get your game started a lot faster. This setting is not automatically turned on by default, so it's important to adjust the settings and ensure the device link is checked into the on position. Number 4. PS Vita connections. There are a lot of advantages when it comes to staying loyal to a single video game company. This is especially true with home consoles and portable consoles. Owning both the PlayStation Vita and PS4 Pro comes with multiple advantages. First, it might be a good idea to pay a little extra to have the PS Vita instead of purchasing a second controller for the PS4 Pro. This is because the PS Vita includes the ability to transform into a working controller for the PS4 Pro. With just a few clicks, you can use the Vita to play any type of multiplayer game like WWE 2K18. The PS4 Pro also offers remote play on the PS Vita, which means that the PS4 can stream visuals directly to the Vita screen. It makes it easy to lay back in bed and play a few quick games before going to sleep at night. The graphics look spectacular on the Vita and allow you to play game franchises without having to purchase the Vita version for portable playing within your home. Just make sure you update your Vita system so it has all the files needed to connect to the PS4 Pro console. This will help you avoid any connection problems. Number 3. Fast file transfer. If you decide to dive in and purchase the PS4 Pro, you don't need to abandon your old PS4 and start fresh. Sony has implemented a file transfer system which will allow your PS4 Pro to feel like your good old console you've come to know and love. There are multiple ways to implement a file transfer, and completing the process can save you a lot of time in the long run. You won't have to manually download game after game from your account and can easily transfer files all at once. One of the best ways to complete the PS4 Pro file transfer is with an Ethernet cable. The cable can connect from console to console. This avoids the hassle of connecting through a Wi-Fi connection. Wi-Fi connections can slow down or become bogged if other people are connected or streaming data. The Ethernet cable offers little delays and a very consistent speed as files are transferred. The best part of the transfer is that the files are copied from the PS4 and will remain on your old console. This allows you to connect the PS4 to another TV, keep all your saved games, and have extra playing options in your home. Number 2. Solid-state drives. In the advanced world of 4K gaming, speed is everything. Players don't want to wait through long game downloads, random updates, and loading screens that have gone on a little too long. Thankfully, the PS4 Pro has the ability to speed this process tremendously with the inclusion of solid-state drive support. A solid-state drive reads data faster because it doesn't rely on a spinning disk to locate and write data. The console itself doesn't come with an SSD, but players can swap out the built-in hard drive and add their own. With up to 2 terabytes of space allowed, the installation of an SSD can make a huge difference in the performance of your PS4 Pro. Speed tests have shown that it's up to 3 times faster in downloading, uploading, and accessing files. The stability of a solid-state drive will help your games load and save a lot faster. When you're downloading updates, they can transfer quickly and get you back to your gaming a lot sooner. A variety of solid-state drives can be purchased for the console. It's important to find one compact enough to fit inside the PS4 Pro and connect correctly. Once installed, the PS4 Pro will automatically format the drive and install the files it needs to run properly. Number 1. PS4 Pro Remote Play. Battling for the 4K television to play your favorite video games can be a huge hassle. No longer do you have to fight for the remote or lug your console around to another television. The PS4 Pro has the ability to use remote play options. No emulators or illegal games are needed. You can access your full PS4 Pro directly from a Mac or PC. This is a game changer. By purchasing a DualShock controller with a USB cable, you can enjoy all of your favorite games directly through a computer monitor. This also makes it easy to connect headsets and microphones you may already be using for computer gaming. Because of the 4K quality of the PS4 Pro, you have the ability to play every game on the computer at 1080p. This incredible quality makes a huge difference when playing on a video monitor. If you don't want to be tethered so close to the computer, then you can purchase a USB wireless adapter which will allow you to play with a DualShock controller wirelessly. The extra purchase gives you a lot more freedom while playing. The app is completely free to download and will stream your exact PS4 Pro startup menu once you get connected. Well, there you have it. What feature do you think was the most impressive? Are there any we missed? Are you excited to own a PS4 Pro? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to TheGamer on YouTube so you can stay up to date with our awesome videos. The PlayStation Vita is much more than a portable console. The powerful little machine can not only play your favorite Sony games, but gives you access to many different features players are completely unaware of. Completely change the way you use your device with these 10 tips, tricks, and secrets. Before you watch, click subscribe. You'll join our notification squad and be the first to know of new content. Setting up on new regions. One of the biggest surprises revealed with the release of the PS Vita is that it would be region-free. This made gamers all over the world excited for the ability to play titles that were never available in certain regions. Many owners of the PS Vita don't actually know how to access games and content from all the different regions. The process takes about 10 minutes, but allows you to go back and forth between different regions as you need to. By creating a Japanese PlayStation Network account, you're opened up to a huge catalog filled with current Vita games, classic PS1 games, and plenty of other titles including funny and silly games never released in the United States. Once the account is created, you simply go through the process of completely formatting and resetting your Vita using a new memory card. By logging into your Japanese PSN account, it will automatically set to that region and give you access to all the games you seek. This allows you to play all types of games you've never heard of or were previously unavailable to US players. Thanks to the Vita settings, this is all legal too. It will not void your warranty or mess up your system in any way. Low battery hibernation mode. Just like any portable console, one of the toughest games you'll play is not an official title, but a power struggle with the battery meter. There are countless times where players push their limits, ignore low battery warnings, and forge on for the sake of the game. Sony understands this and has helped players out tremendously with a feature known as low battery hibernation mode. If your battery is extremely low, then the screen will turn black, but the system will still be active. From there, you can plug in your PS Vita and the game will resume exactly where you left off. This is a huge lifesaver for when gamers skip a save point or have not reached a proper save spot. You'll not lose any game progress, and your daring trip into this low battery territory will be redeemed through this mode. The standby mode only lasts so long though, so it's important to get the system charging as soon as possible. While the feature is useful, you shouldn't let the battery run out too often. It's a good idea to charge the Vita every time you're done using it to keep the system active and healthy. PS4 Extra Controller. Sony played it smart when they created their network of consoles and software. Everything can connect and be used in ways players cannot even imagine. Not only can the Vita be used to stream PS4 games, but it acts as the perfect alternative controller when you're playing on the TV. By linking the Vita to a PS4 or PS4 Pro, it can be used as a controller for all the games you own. Instead of paying a ton of money for an extra controller, you can pay a little extra to have an additional controller and a whole new console. The easiest way to do this is by using Remote Play, signing into your PlayStation Network account, and then setting up the controller as a guest player. It allows things to go smoothly. You also don't have to worry about low battery life on a controller because the Vita can use its charging port to keep the controller continuously running while you're playing on the PS4. One of the biggest differences between the two is accessing the L2 and R2 buttons. The rear touchscreen of the Vita acts as representations for these buttons, but if you've played the Vita, then it's something you can get used to very quickly. PS Vita Cloud Saving. There's nothing more annoying than running out of storage on any device. This is especially true when it comes to gaming on the PS Vita. In some cases, you may not have the chance right away to run out and purchase extra memory cards. If you have to uninstall a game or move some files around, then it's nice to have access to the PS Vita Cloud Storage. This storage can be used for saved game files that will remain a part of your PlayStation account. You'll need a PlayStation Plus account to access this feature, but it can really be a lifesaver. Thanks to the cloud data, if you ever uninstall a game and add it again later, you'll still have access to the saved game files. This type of cloud access is also beneficial if you own the same game on the PS4. You don't need to play two separate games because they can both be played from console to console thanks to cloud saving. If your Vita breaks or needs to be formatted, then you also have the option of restoring all of your save files on a new device without having to start all the games from scratch. Main screen folders. The library of available games for the PS Vita is massive. Not only can you download fun and new Vita games, but you have access to entertaining titles from the PSP, PlayStation 1, and digital games made by independent developers. After shopping around, you may find yourself the owner of dozens of games on the device. Before you start filling up your screen with all kinds of icons, you can stay organized and actually create folders on the main screen. These folders can be used to sort games and apps into various categories. To create a folder, go to the main screen of the Vita. From there, click and hold on any of the icons. This will expand to an options screen for adjusting and moving all your icons around. By clicking on the small icon with 3 dots, you'll have an option to make a new folder. You can make as many new folders as you want. For example, you can have a social media folder, a folder for fighting games, and a folder for your PS1 downloads. Staying organized will help reduce the time it takes to find and load your favorite game or app. Vita standby times. Standby mode can be the worst. There's nothing more annoying than taking a sip of soda or grabbing a quick snack only to see your Vita has turned into standby mode. Then you have to go through the annoying process of turning the screen back on, swiping away the lock screen, and then unpausing your game. By default, the Vita screen will go into standby mode after just 1 minute of no use. If it's way too fast for you, then there's an easy way to change this that most players are not aware of. Deep in the settings menu, you can adjust these times. While in settings, click on Power Save Settings and then tap the Auto Standby option. From there, you have the ability to change the time to either 3 minutes or 5 minutes. This can make a huge difference while you're playing and end the annoying standby mode every time you get up for a bathroom break or some other situation. It's a good idea to try out the 3-minute mode first and then jump to 5 minutes if that's not good enough. It'll help you save a little extra battery power in the long run. Accessing game manuals. Before loading a game into consoles, one of the first things the kids would seek out for a new game was a game manual. These manuals featured control settings, background information, and details on various characters. Manuals have gotten smaller through the years, but players still enjoy the content and artwork associated with them. For many Vita players, it was pretty disappointing to open game after game without finding a manual inside. Many thought the manuals were just eliminated as a cost-cutting measure, but Sony looked to the future and decided to offer them all digitally instead of printing out copies for every game. Accessing them is easy and can be done directly from the main menu. Once a game is inserted in the Vita, you can tap on the game logo once to load the sub-menu. At the top of the screen, you'll notice a small question mark icon. By tapping this icon, you can access the full game manual. They're designed in a similar way to the classic printed versions and provide the same content you're used to. Even if you buy a digital version of the game, the manual will be included, giving you access to it at any time. PS4 Remote Play. Whether you live with family or friends, it can be a constant battle to get access to the best TV in the house if you're a PS4 owner. Thankfully, Sony understands your struggles and has made it a lot easier to play your PS4 if you own a Vita. Known as PS4 Remote Play, you can stream your PS4 directly through your Vita screen, making it a lot easier to enjoy your favorite games. By downloading the official PlayStation app and Remote Play software, you can connect right through the Vita. Thanks to the HD display, all of your PS4 games will look great on the screen. Since all of the controls on the Vita are the same as the DualShock controller, you will not have any trouble or limitations while playing your games. This feature works with both the standard PS4 and the newer PS4 Pro. Not only will you have access to games, but you can access any of the apps on the PS4. For example, you can play Blu-ray movies in the PS4 and stream the content to your Vita screen instead of the television. This also applies to streaming video apps like Netflix and Amazon Prime Video. PSP game improvements. Having a system with backward compatibility can make all the difference when playing on consoles. That's why it's so great that the PS Vita has the ability to play digital versions of PSP games. A majority of PSP games from their library can be downloaded and played directly on the Vita. This really expands the game options for the system and allows you to play some of the most popular games from Sony's past. The PSP clearly has graphics that are not as visually stunning as the PS Vita. When this is the case, you don't want the larger screen and processing to impact how the game is played. Sony understands this, which is why there's a little-known menu available when PSP games are being played. Through this menu, you have the ability to enhance the graphics in the PSP game you're playing so that they look better on the Vita screen. Once a PSP game is loaded, you can press the PS button on your Vita to access the menu options. From there, you can activate and adjust both the bilinear filtering and color space menus. These options will improve the way the graphics look on the Vita and enhance your gaming experience. Quick Unlock. Unlocking a Vita or other type of handheld device can be a tedious habit. Not only do you have to take the extra time to swipe at the screen, but it can increase the amount of time you have to wait until you get to play your game again. The slight delay is annoying, but swiping across a touchscreen can also create smudges, fingerprints, and unwanted markings. All of these elements can hinder the way a game is played and create annoyances. Luckily, there's a way to avoid this whole process on the PS Vita and get to your gaming entertainment a lot more quickly. Press one finger down on the top right corner of the PS Vita screen. This is always the starting point for the console's startup mechanism. While still holding it down, you can simply tap the bottom left corner once and the screen will magically unlock. Once you start using this process, you'll quickly get used to it and it will become second nature to unlock the screen using this process over and over again. This is a great trick to save time and eliminate smudges on your screen. Plus, it's also a good one to share with friends who are also PS Vita owners. Wow, well there you have it. What hidden feature do you think is the coolest? Have you tried any of these? Is the Vita the best handheld console? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to TheGamer on YouTube so you can stay up to date with all of our awesome videos. The Xbox One is a very ambitious console. Microsoft found a way to make a console both comfortable with the past and prepared for the future, with the announcement of the Xbox One X that you didn't know your Xbox One could do. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our awesome videos and click that bell to become part of our notification squad. Share your digital games with friends and family. Buying a game digitally is suddenly way more valuable if you're allowed to share it. Two households can share games by setting each other's Xboxes as their home console. By designating an Xbox One your home Xbox, all other accounts on the system gain access to your games even when you're not logged in. That is awesome! Not only will you be able to enjoy all the same games, you'll also be able to save some money in the process. The idea here is that individual users in a family should be able to earn their own achievements and create a unique save file for their account, but gamers are finding a way to take advantage of it. After that, all you need to do is log into your account whenever you want to play your games and you're all set. If you find another friend willing to set their home as your house, then the two of you both have access to each other's games in perpetuity. Microsoft doesn't realize the power they gave us here, but I don't think anyone's complaining. Let's be honest, free games are awesome no matter how you get access to them. Pressing RT, LT, and Y refreshes the dashboard. As video game consoles become more like traditional home computers, it's become increasingly important to have troubleshooting shortcuts. As the inventors of Control-Alt-Delete, Microsoft in particular seems to have a knack for important key combinations. On an Xbox One, pressing the left trigger, the right trigger, and Y resets the dashboard and reloads ads and recommendations. It's an easy way to get things back to normal if the user interface starts behaving strangely or stops working altogether. Like many electronics, sometimes they act a little wacky for no apparent reason. There are a lot of users whose first reaction is to stand up, unplug the console, and cold boot it. If you're feeling lazy, the simple shortcut should help you save a lot of time and fix things without needing to take apart your home theater setup. We don't recommend using it if you're anxiously waiting for a friend hoping it'll say he's online. It's not exactly like the F5 refresh button, so don't press the combination over and over again just to see if something new pops up. Hopefully your Xbox One is working fine and you never need to use it, but it's nice to know that the functionality exists. Use your Xbox One from another room on a Windows 10 PC. It feels incredibly space age. Once your Xbox One is connected to the internet and set up on your home network, you can play it from any Windows 10 computer in your house. It's surprisingly easy, so I guess Windows 10 is good for something after all. If you're sitting in your office and decide you want to squeeze in a Forza Horizon 3 race, just download and open up the Xbox app in Windows and it'll turn on your Xbox from afar, which is an amazing sight to see. It's very similar to Sony's Remote Play app for PlayStation 4, but the Xbox app is only available for PC. Well, you could also play Xbox One games on Mac if you have the Boot Camp app, but that becomes a pretty expensive setup. Luckily, new Xbox One controllers have built-in Bluetooth, so you can even buy an extra controller and leave it on your desk for the occasion. Through the Windows 10 Xbox app, you can earn achievements and even use Xbox Party Chat without difficulty. Everything that's accessible on your Xbox One is accessible through the app. Seriously, it works really well, even better than you might expect. We should give Microsoft some credit here. Track the number of hours you've played a game. Xbox One keeps surprisingly detailed metrics about your gaming habits. Some of us don't really care about those gaming statistics, but others are very curious about the amount of time they spend playing their favorite games. To dig into your play stats, go to any title's Game Hub and scroll over to Achievements. Inside the Achievement tab, you'll see a bounty of information including playtime, gamer score, and general progress. Each game includes a handful of title-specific data points. It's easy to find yourself spending way too much time reading about your past play sessions when you could just be playing something new altogether. But just the fact that you can even do this in the first place is really interesting. One other fascinating tidbit is that you can compare most of these metrics against other people on your friends list. For competitive games, there will normally be a stat that tracks your victories, which can be especially fun to compare against your friends' triumphs. We all naturally have a bit of competitiveness in our nature, so Microsoft is making it even easier for us to track our progress. Having this extensive data on a system level should be standard for all consoles going forward. Reassign buttons on the controller. The Xbox Accessories app lets you reconfigure your entire controller, which is something you do not see much of when it comes to console controllers. Sure, if you use your controller to play a PC game, there will most likely be an option for button remapping, but it's not nearly as common on console. Do you want the right bumper to act as a second A button? That's not a problem. You want the bumper to be the shoot button instead of the trigger? You could do that too. Having a system-level configuration option like this is essential for modern gaming. All of this functionality goes one step further if you happen to own the premium Xbox Elite controller, which has the capacity for additional buttons on the backside of the controller where you would normally rest your index finger. These extra buttons may cost a pretty penny, but they are perfect for games like Dark Souls, where keeping your thumbs on movement and camera controls is essential. Microsoft has already promised to add further functionality to the app in future updates. Play PS4 through your Xbox. You might have noticed the Xbox One has two HDMI ports, one for incoming signals and one for outgoing. One of the Xbox One's main selling points was the fact that you could plug your TV terminal into the console's extra HDMI port to watch TV right on your system. While it was originally intended for a traditional TV terminal, the Xbox One can accept video not only from a TV terminal, but plenty of other devices as well. Plugging a PS4, Wii U, or Steam Link directly into an Xbox One lets you take advantage of Xbox One features, such as Party Chat and Xbox Music, simultaneously while using another device. To be honest, it might not be incredibly useful because you can just change the TV source to another console in one press of a button, but this is especially practical for TV sets with limited HDMI ports. Since you can set your Xbox One to open up incoming video signals on launch, it's very easy to set up an Apple TV in conjunction with an Xbox One, keep all of your video streaming services in one place. It's safe to say that this can be an incredibly useful feature. Easily track your bandwidth usage. Let's face it, as long as there are data caps, being a game enthusiast also means paying attention to how much data you're using. Not all of us have unlimited internet. This is because there are some areas in the world who are lagging behind in terms of internet, or simply because people don't feel like dishing out the money for unlimited internet. Lots of modern AAA games have file sizes over 40 gigs, and between patches and downloadable content, it's easy to reach your monthly limit in a couple of days. Luckily, the Xbox One has a built-in bandwidth tracker in settings, which is unlike any other console out there today. Being able to tell exactly when your data is being consumed is especially good for users whose ISP have grace windows during the early morning. Data caps are seriously no fun. It can also give you a perfect snapshot of how much Netflix is eating up and see how much your Xbox One is downloading over the course of a month. In a world where we're fascinated by statistics, it's great to see Microsoft surfacing this kind of information on their own. Who knew that a console would be able to save you some money? Plug in an external hard drive for cheap storage. External hard drives are cheap and effective for some extra storage space. Most console owners aren't going to want to fiddle with a screwdriver to take out the hard drive in their consoles and replace it with an external hard drive because they're scared to break something on their perfectly functioning machine. No one is confused by how to use an external hard drive. Small, slick, and cheap, having a small passport drive is super convenient. Being able to plug and unplug a drive to transport your installs from one house to another is more useful than you might expect. A 21st century memory card that lets you carry all your digital games around frees you from worrying about micromanaging your game collection. Microsoft even went out of its way to offer a licensed drive for Xbox One with a branded green finish. If you don't ever plan on unplugging your external hard drive from your console, don't be afraid to Velcro it to the console. This way you won't lose it, and you don't have to worry about plugging it in every time you want to play a specific game. Of course, just about any USB 3.0 hard drive will get the job done. Your phone can be used as a simple controller. The Xbox app for iOS and Android lets you sift through the Xbox One interface with ease. It has all the face buttons you would expect on a controller and lets you swipe to manipulate your way through the menus. Obviously, it's not perfect. It's a phone, not an Xbox controller, so it won't work for absolutely everything since the app doesn't have left and right triggers or left and right shoulder buttons. But it's a handy thing to whip out when you need it in a pinch. The app also lets you compose messages and enter vouchers on the phone, which drastically speeds up your typing. Seriously, controllers are just not made to type with. Even if they have motion controls like on the PS4, it's still very difficult and time-consuming. The only small caveat is that you'll need to be on the same network as your console, so if you lose internet access, the pseudo controller will disconnect and won't work. As an aside, the app also lets you buy and download games to your console when you're on the go, which is a real nice feature. It's so awesome to be out all day and come home to a new, recently downloaded and ready-to-play game. Play cross-platform with PC friends. The dream scenario of being able to play with your friends no matter if they use a PC or console is here. Not all games work yet, but Microsoft is pushing them to get there. Microsoft believes cross-platform gaming is the future, and we would agree with them. Big games like Gears of War 4, Killer Instinct, and Rocket League all let you play cooperatively or competitively online against your friends. To be fair, even PlayStation 4 Rocket League players can play with PC players, but Xbox One does have better access to cross-platform games. Because of the discrepancy between mouse and keyboard users versus gamepad players, competitive modes have thus far been relegated to casual matches. Some games are easier to play with a controller, while others are better played with a keyboard and mouse, so to keep things fair, competitive games are never cross-platform. That being said, it's still hard to complain when we're living the dream. Seriously, that is an incredible achievement. Over the current year, Microsoft will release more Play Anywhere titles, which gives digital buyers both a PC and Xbox copy of the game, and it's assured that these games will further develop developed the feature. It's a better time than ever to be an Xbox gamer. The Xbox One is much more than just a gaming console. It could do much more than people give it credit for. Let us know of any other hidden features of the Xbox One in the comment section below. Also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with our awesome playlist. Thanks for watching.
The Xbox One X is coming, but before you unload your hard-earned money on the console, it's a good idea to learn about all the features, highlights, and crazy things the system can do. Dive deep and go beyond 4K graphics to really learn about the Xbox One X and the future of gaming. Here are 10 things you didn't know the Xbox One X can do. Before you watch, hit subscribe. You'll join the notification squad and be the first to know of new content. 4K game DVR. For many players, it's no longer enough to just play the game on its own. Game streaming, walkthroughs, and captured moments are now a common part of everyday gaming. When capturing your game footage, you want it to be in the best quality possible, especially if you're sharing it with the masses. The Xbox One X makes this process a lot easier with their built-in 4K game DVR. All of your game footage will be recorded in full 4K video quality, giving you the best possible graphics and stunning visuals for all types of TVs and computer monitors. With the recorded footage, you can upload it to a computer, import it into video editing software, or use the Xbox One X to upload the clips directly online. The Xbox One X will continue to use the Upload Studio. The upgraded version of the Studio will feature 4K support and allow you to edit down your clips, add voiceovers, and apply other effects. From there, you can upload them directly to your Xbox Live account, through Twitter, or on a cloud storage option. The speed and power of the Xbox One X will make it easy to process and render the final cut of these videos. Exclusive games. One of the best parts of the Xbox One X is that it's an upgrade and not a whole new generation of console. It's an extension of the Xbox One and Xbox One S, making all the previous games and features compatible with the new hardware. This doesn't mean the Xbox One X won't be without its perks. The console is set to launch with a number of exclusive games which will be catered directly to the 4K quality and advanced hardware. Sea of Thieves is going to be an open-world pirate game where players explore the open seas. Every ship you run into on the water will actually be another player connected through the Xbox Live service. If you enjoy zombie games, then State of Decay 2 will showcase them like never before, as rotting flesh and crazy battles are all presented in stunning quality. The open-world game features custom bases where players gather supplies and must do anything they can to stay alive. One of the main exclusives is Forza Motorsport 7. The racing game brings realistic racing to a whole new level with crazy car details, little bits of gravel on the road, and authentic courses to drive on. Cloud data. The use of 4K graphics doesn't just present better quality, but it brings a whole lot of storage with it. 4K games are packaged in massive sizes, with some games taking up hundreds of gigabytes at a time. Thankfully, Microsoft saw the size issue coming and has worked on a solution to make gaming a lot easier. They've implemented a cloud storage system which works automatically with the Xbox One X. This means core data will be downloaded directly to the console while other portions of the game can be kept in the cloud and accessed only when needed. The automatic process will provide gamers with a fun experience as all the hard work is done in the background. The use of cloud storage creates two huge advantages. When you purchase games for the Xbox One X, you can play them faster instead of waiting for a whole download to complete. You can also store more games on your console without the need to constantly attach an external hard drive. You also don't have to worry about deleting older games to make room for new ones. It'll make things a lot more versatile and really change the way 4K games play on the Xbox One X. SUPERSAMPLING. Don't worry about your old Xbox One games collecting dust if you decide to upgrade to the Xbox One X. Microsoft has infused a process into the console known as SUPERSAMPLING. This process will enhance the ways HD games look so that their graphics and designs look even better when played in 4K. With SUPERSAMPLING, characters blend more into the worlds, making things feel more realistic. It also adds a smoother look to motions and controls within the game. The SUPERSAMPLING feature works in multiple ways on the Xbox One X. For example, if you don't have a 4K television, the SUPERSAMPLING will run on an HD TV to provide you with the best graphics possible. If you do have a 4K TV, then SUPERSAMPLING will be used on the older games to help make those graphics look better on the screen. This helps expand the console to more than just players owning a 4K television, as anyone can take advantage of the improved gameplay. As the world of 4K expands and electronics become cheaper, the need for super sampling will not be needed as much. But it's great for the transition process, which is something Microsoft has really focused on. The vast world of Assassin's Creed Origins. One of the best showcases for the Xbox One X has been Assassin's Creed Origins. The Egyptian set game goes well beyond anything the franchise has offered in the past. Many players may not realize how deep this game truly goes. Taking advantage of the 4K graphics, Assassin's Creed Origins will make it feel like you're on vacation in the Egyptian desert. Small gusts of wind, particles of sand, and lifelike terrain can really immerse you in the game. The advanced graphics and computer power of the Xbox One X also helps support the open world of Assassin's Creed. Your actions are not the only thing impacting this world. Every citizen living in the village has an impact. If a person walks near a river and gets eaten by an alligator, then the person is dead and gone from the rest of the game. Any missions or stories involving the person will be altered based on that state. Exploration in the game is also done with a flying bird players can navigate through the various lands. This allows you to explore the open world and get a great showcase for how impressive the Xbox One X graphics can be. Superior graphic performance. Once the Xbox One X is released in November, there's no denying it'll be the most powerful gaming console on the market. Microsoft has really packed in a lot of features to help with the performance of the Xbox One X. For example, when the PS4 Pro came out, it featured 4.2 teraflops of graphics performance. The Xbox One X will have 6 teraflops at release. The console also features 12 gigabytes of RAM, a big upgrade from the standard 8 gigabytes used in recent years. It may seem like a lot of random numbers, but they're all really significant. As the Xbox One X gets released and game development continues, graphics, designs, and worlds will only begin to improve. The hardware inside the Xbox One X has a crazy amount of potential and can really be used to change online gaming as well. The expansion of servers along with the graphic performance can create massive multiplayer experiences where games are packed with hundreds of players at one time. With a lot of upgrades and a few launch titles, it'll take a few years to truly see how much potential this advanced Xbox system has. Easy controller linking. No matter how advanced consoles get, there's one annoying thing for players: waiting to load games. Along with powering up a console and loading the game, there may even be updates on top of what you're already waiting for. Thankfully, the Xbox One X has implemented a feature to help streamline this process and eliminate some of the extra waiting time. This is done with a process known as Easy Controller Linking. With Easy Controller Linking, you can assign a specific Xbox Live profile to a single controller. When that controller is turned on, it'll automatically log into your account and provide you with quick access to games. Not only is this great for starting up the Xbox One X, but the feature is ideal for when multiple people are playing at your house. It used to be really cumbersome to turn on a controller, have a box pop up, and then manually log into the account. Now with the Easy Controller Linking, the process can be done in seconds. Don't want nosy people getting access to your account? A quick PIN or passcode can be added to a controller so others don't have access. Frame rates and HDR. With the release of the latest advanced consoles, a lot of emphasis has been placed on the phrase 4K. Sure, it's flashy, sounds great, and is easy for marketing, but two other details help make games look and play better. The first is the frame rate. The higher the frame rate in a game, the smoother it'll play and feel as you go through various levels. The Xbox One X will feature a number of games with 60 frames per second. This is very smooth for the human eye and will help attribute to the incredible graphics seen on a 4K TV. Along with the frame rate, a number of new games and upgraded titles will feature advanced HDR. HDR stands for High Dynamic Range, and it's associated directly with the colors in the game. It'll be easy to see the different shades of colors, shadows will be more prominent, and worlds will look more realistic. It'll be a lot easier to see more details in a dark setting, unlike in older systems where it could be extremely frustrating. A number of patches will be made for the Xbox One game so that the HDR is improved, and so that the frame rate remains more stable. Ultra HD Blu-ray. The primary use for the Xbox One X should be for gaming, but players can take advantage of the 4K graphics for all types of other home media options. Just like the Xbox One, the Xbox One X has access to streaming services like YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, and the NFL Network. The Xbox One X has also given players more options for physical media. The disc drive used on the console is an Ultra HD Blu-ray drive. That means players can purchase and watch 4K movie releases on the console. Although the rollout has been a little slow, the world of 4K is advancing as more and more titles are getting released from companies like Disney and Warner Bros. This includes newer hits like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The Ultra HD discs are better than streaming because you get consistent quality, and you don't need to rely on an internet connection to access the media. The movies are often sold in multi-packs that include standard Blu-ray versions and digital downloads as well. Just like the games, the Xbox One X uses the higher frame rates and HDR settings to make movies look as good as possible. Project Scorpio Edition. When the Xbox One X was in early days of production, it was often referred to as Project Scorpio. This name would become important for fans as Microsoft announced an exclusive Project Scorpio edition of the Xbox One X. The hard-to-find pre-order features a number of exclusives not available when the standard Xbox One X is released in November. The design of the console really stands out. When the Xbox One X is released, it'll feature a matte black design. The Scorpio version features a gray gradient with a green trim. The controller features an all-black design with the green Project Scorpio logo going down the center. It has Bluetooth connectivity and analog grips to make it more comfortable while playing. One of the biggest features not available with the standard Xbox One X is the vertical stand. The vertical stand may make it easier to place your console in the home. It can lock into place and save a lot of space depending on what other electronics you have. The hardware of the console is the same, but the software menus may offer some exclusive avatars, or maybe some designs that match the exterior of the Project Scorpio design. And there you have it. What feature are you most excited about? Do you plan on upgrading to the Xbox One X? Do you like it better than the PS4 Pro? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to The Gamer on YouTube so you can stay up to date with our awesome videos.
The Switch has taken gamers by storm. The system knocked it out of the park with exciting games like Super Mario Odyssey and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. There are so many features Nintendo promoted the Switch could do, but there are still so many things we're discovering about the system. We at TheGamer have found more exciting features we feel you should know about, so grab your Joy-Cons and Pro controllers because you will not want to miss this. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to TheGamer for more exciting gaming videos. Now without further ado, here are 10 more things you didn't know your Switch could do. Controller locator. So this may not be a problem for all of us, but for some of us, the Joy-Con controllers may be a bit small. They are two wireless little pills that can easily get lost in the couch cushions forever. How will you ever find them if they're lost? Oh no! Well, fear no more. There is a handy controller locator on the main tablet. All you need to do is hit the Locate Controller app, and as long as your Joy-Cons have battery in them and they're in range, they will sound off when they are synced. If you still can't find it, hit the same controller you want to sync again and the buzzing sound will go off again. Now you too can play the newest and most exciting game on the Switch, one-person Marco Polo with your Joy-Cons. Marco! Controller adaptability. So if there's one thing that today's gamers are looking for, it is compatibility with controllers. More and more people are interested in more universal USB controllers, but the Switch has got you covered. With a combination of adapters and extension, the Switch is able to work with a whole host of controllers. We're not just talking about other Wii or Wii-related controllers either. You can hook up a PS4 controller, an Xbox One controller, and even a mouse and keyboard all via USB. So if you want to go even further back, through some converters and adapters, you can have N64 and NES controllers hooked up to your Switch. Talk about backwards compatibility. YouTube. With our increased reliance on mobile devices, a variety of streaming and video hosting services almost seem like a necessity for today's electronics. You even have e-readers with YouTube and Netflix capabilities, defeating the whole point of e-readers, but that's neither here nor there. Naturally, since the Switch is a tablet, you can eventually use it to watch YouTube and your favorite channels like TheGamer. Shameless plug! But seriously, the interface with YouTube seems promising since you can effortlessly switch between tablet and then put it in the docking station to view on the TV. Not many people know about this feature as of making this video, but hey, it might just catch on soon after. You can thank us later. HTML games. With the explosion of the internet, finding a game to play has never been easier. Steam has made buying new games on PC super easy, and even consoles are making the transition to digital content. However, what if you want to game on the cheap and play some more basic games? Well, you can use your $250 Switch to play some basic HTML games like Mrs. Pac-Man and others. All you need to do is interact with the DNS settings in order to access the alternate browser on the Switch to play these games. They run smoothly, and you can use the Joy-Cons for the games like you would a regular controller. Now, instead of paying an extra $60 for Super Mario Odyssey, you can play the original Mario on some third-party website for free. Who needs Virtual Console? Syncing controllers. Couch co-op is making a slow and steady return to gaming with the Nintendo Switch. With the Wii U, you could have 8-player co-op for games like Super Smash Bros. If, you wanted to lose 7 friends in a day. However, there was always an issue with syncing controllers and establishing player order. If we go further back, players would either have to re-plug in controllers physically or just switch controllers. Now, if for whatever reason you wanted to change the player order in the Switch, it is as simple as pressing a button, literally. All you need to do is desync the controllers and then resync them in whatever order you want. Of course, you could also change controllers, but we understand if you don't want to. Your friend's controller is probably too sweaty for your taste and smells like old cheese and meat. That's super gross. Google Maps. We know this one may seem super obvious to most of you, but the Switch is a tablet. We know, riveting stuff, gamer. Seriously though, most people will just think of the Switch as portable gaming tablet, where you can play Skyrim for 3 hours, which is basically a fifth of your average Skyrim session. I've been playing that game for 3 straight years. When you're not using it for gaming, you can access normal browser functions like Google Maps. You can use touchscreen controls to pinch or zoom, and you can navigate using the touchscreen. So now with this, you can find your way at home at night after playing Breath of the Wild outdoors and taking a wrong turn at Albuquerque. Just be sure to save your game before you're eventually mugged for your Switch. Recovery mode. If at any point your game or system becomes corrupted, don't call tech support just yet. Instead of being on the phone for 3 hours or waiting night and day for an email that will never come, try a reboot in recovery mode. On PC, rebooting in safe mode is a common fix for a lot of small errors. The same is true for consoles. If you want to access recovery mode for whatever reason, turn off your system. Then hold the plus and minus buttons together next to the power button. Next, you just tap the power button and turn it on, and then recovery mode will appear. From here, you have the option to restore the system without deleting memory, or fully restore system memory. Let's just say you access this by mistake somehow, all you need to do is turn it off and on again. Presto, right back to normal. Docking alternatives. If you intend to use the Switch to its fullest capabilities and travel with it, you may find that carrying around a docking station can be a little encumbersome. You are overcumbered. This big hunk of plastic may fit nicely with your main TV or living room space, but what if you're just a gamer on the go and you're in a hotel room? Did you remember to make room for your Switch dock? Oh no! Well, now there are alternatives to the docking station if you need it, or somehow lost or broke your original. For about $50, you can purchase a dongle that plugs into your Switch and also has plugs for the HDMI and AC adapter. Dongle. It is just a matter of connecting everything, and you have a cheap replacement for the main docking station should you ever need it. Joy-Con grip. If there's one thing we have to criticize the Switch for, it's the controller it comes with. The Joy-Cons do not accommodate large-handed monsters like some of us, but luckily there are some alternatives. Aside from hand reduction surgery. Just tell me if it can be done, Doc. The Joy-Con grip you slip the 2 smaller ones into can be altered to be not so bulky. You can actually separate the 2 pieces, although you will need a Phillips head screwdriver and a smaller tri-head. After this little alteration, you can still take your small Joy-Cons and put them together for a smoother gaming session. This alternative saves your bigger hands from cramps and saves you thousands of dollars in avoiding unnecessary hand surgery. Additionally, it's easier to store this newer, smaller Joy-Con connector since it won't take up as much space. Wired connection. Even though there have been some significant advances in wireless technology, nothing will beat a solid wired connection when it comes to speed and reliability. You can get this on the Switch because of its universal port. All you need is an Ethernet cable and an adapter for a USB dongle. There's that word again, dongle. To have a wired connection for your Switch. Use this if you're in an online game and want a taste of what the PC Master Race has had for well over 20 years. In all honesty, this seems over-encumbering, seeing as how you need 3 different connections in order to work this in. However, this will give you a significant boost to your online connection and reliability. Even though the Switch doesn't have serious online games aside from Splatoon 2, the Switch still offers a lot of DLC for the single-player games, and a stable connection is always a good thing when downloading content. And those were 10 things you didn't know your Switch could do. What do you think? Were there features in this video you did not know about? Were there any we may have missed? Let us know down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to TheGamer for more exciting videos. Later!
It's a me, Mario! Woohoo!
By now, owners of Nintendo 3DS systems are aware of most of the games and features the system has to offer. They may also be aware of a few extra tricks included on the 3DS, but they certainly can't be aware of all of them. Here are 10 hidden features on the Nintendo 3DS that players might not know. Before we get into these Nintendo 3DS features, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to stay up to date with fresh content from TheGamer. Number 10. Hidden games. Nintendo is pretty well known for including secret levels in their games, especially when it comes to the Mario franchise, so it's no surprise that they would include a couple of hidden games on their 3DS systems as well. A gamer in Japan found the first hidden game when they decided to play the Mario theme on their 3DS. They opened the browser and tapped in the first 6 notes of the famous theme from Super Mario Bros. Players are then treated to a Breakout game clone that they can play. For those not familiar, Breakout was a popular arcade game back in 1976. Players would use a ball to knock down as many bricks as possible, with the highest score to date being 896 points. If the game seems unimpressive, keep in mind it was created by Steve Bristow, Nolan Bushnell, and Steve Wozniak. Another game that's more overlooked than hidden is Game & Watch Soccer. For older Nintendo fans, they may remember a time when the company created a series of handheld electronic games. If a player pulls the blue string in the middle of the screen when they're on the 3DS Music Player screen, they'll be treated to a variety of visualizations. While most people may think these animations are simply a way to watch the music, they're actually playable games. Number 9. OK Go. Everyone at some point is guilty of putting off a system update once in a while. Unfortunately, it's a necessary evil if a user wants to ensure their system is running smoothly. Perhaps Nintendo wanted to encourage users to keep their system up to date when they included this Easter egg. Going to the system settings, players can select the system update option and the 3DS will go online and begin downloading and installing the latest system update. It'll also download something else as well. Players will be treated to a 3D and 2D version of the White Knuckles music video by the band OK Go. Yeah, the treadmill guys. There's no real explanation for why this music video is included with the update. It's possible the band wanted a new avenue to explore their innovative music videos. After all, that's kind of what they're known for. Nevertheless, players are gifted this video whether they like it or not. If a player wants to keep the video, they should be aware that the video will self-destruct after installing a new system update. Since the video was already released about a full year earlier, no one really knows why this self-destructing video was offered with a system update in the first place. Maybe Nintendo just wanted to try something new. Number 8. Tour the Louvre. Nintendo is often known for trying new things. Even if their attempts are sometimes unsuccessful, they still continue to push ahead in order to innovate the video game industry. Their determination to be at the top of their game is admirable enough to set them apart from other video game companies. Korean Air decided to try something different themselves. In 2012, they sponsored a program at the Louvre where museum attendees could utilize a special 3DS as a sort of interactive tour guide. Nintendo helped out as well by donating 5,000 handheld systems to the museum. Using the 3DS, attendees have 3 different options for exploring the Louvre. The Masterpiece Tour guides attendees through the works of art with audio commentary and ensures museum goers don't wander off their course. Attendees can also use the Must-See Tour or the interactive map. Each option comes with commentary in multiple languages. Unfortunately, some users reported the program did not keep up to date with the ever-changing museum, which could pose problems for attendees. For the most part, it appears as though users were pleasantly surprised with the ease of use. Whether or not this type of technology in a museum will catch on is anyone's guess. Number 7. Import Miis. One of the most fun aspects of playing on the Wii U is being able to create Miis. Some players spend hours either creating Miis who look just like them or creating entirely unique Miis. Either way, most players are pretty attached to their Miis. Since they've spent so much time customizing them, it's to be expected. 3DS owners can also create Miis on their handheld systems as well. The setup for creating Miis on the 3DS is essentially the same, but what if a player wanted to keep the Miis they've already created on their Wii U? Fortunately, Nintendo obviously thought of this conundrum forum and created a way for players to bring their Wii U Miis over to their 3DS. To import already established Miis, all players have to do is enter the Mii Maker menu. From there, they can access the Mii Channel Wii option. The 3DS will then transfer the Mii over from the Wii U. Players can also generate QR codes to share their Miis to their other systems, through email, or with other friends. For players obsessed with creating and sharing their Miis, the 3DS offers the perfect option to do so. Number 6. Home Menu. Most owners of a 3DS are aware of some of the little tricks included on the system. Nintendo always seems to find a way to add something extra to their gameplay. One popular method for the 3DS is the use of the microphone for something other than listening. Some players have already discovered how Nintendo integrates the use of the microphone in many 3DS titles. For instance, players can blow out torches or blow bubbles in-game by blowing into the 3DS microphone. Of course, the results of blowing into the microphone varies from game to game, and some games may not utilize this function at all. Nevertheless, the inclusion of this feature is an attempt on Nintendo's part to try something new with their gameplay, and for the most part, it works. While on the 3DS home screen, users can blow into the microphone and the logo will spin. Several users have noted that some game logos do different things if they blow into the microphone. Some of the logos may spin around entirely. Other logos may have the characters near the logo spin around while the logo stays static. While basically nonsensical, it's still a fun trick to try once or twice. Number 5. The Earth. Some players may not be aware of the augmented reality games available for the 3DS. Every system came equipped with several games and cards which were to be used in conjunction with the AR games. There are also several other games players can unlock as well. These titles include games like archery, mini-golf, fishing, and Mii Picks. Some of these games can be unlocked by beating other AR games, while some need to be paid for with play coins. One AR game available on the handheld system is Globe. In Globe, players can view a model of the world and their location on it. Players can make the Earth bigger or smaller, and they can explore different continents. One feature of the game allows players to throw a ball at the globe by pressing the A button. If the globe is hit with balls enough times, it'll turn red. If a player hits it with even more balls, the globe will eventually explode, and the 3DS will issue a warning about taking care of the planet. After that, if players want to play Globe again, they'll have to purchase it from the store for 1 play coin. It's certainly a strange way to remind players to look after the Earth. Number 4. Cuckoo. Another strange addition to the AR games available in the 3DS is the clock game. Less of a game and more of an unnecessary feature, clock is, well, a clock. To be more specific, it's an augmented reality cuckoo clock that displays the time. Like most clocks, this cuckoo clock has an hour hand, minute hand, and a second hand. What else does this clock do aside from keeping players punctual? Well, if players press the A button, a cuckoo bird will appear from inside the clock, and sometimes it'll be replaced by a hen. The difference between them is the hen will make barking sounds, which is more in line with actual chickens, obviously. While this feature may seem somewhat pointless, there is one more thing the cuckoo bird can do. If a player gets too close to the bird while pressing the A button, the cuckoo will pop out and crack the user's screen, virtually of course. If a player does this multiple times, the cuckoo will crack the screen more until it eventually explodes. Once this is done, the cuckoo bird will turn black and won't be able to break the screen again until the clock feature is exited. Although this feature is somewhat odd, it might be fun to see it at least once. Number 3. Helpful Pikmin. Nintendo always goes the extra mile to include fun and exciting Easter eggs in nearly everything they do. They're also fans of including fan-favorite characters and crossovers. Whether it's the Super Smash Bros. Franchise bringing characters together for a fight, or including pictures of Mario in a Zelda game, Nintendo loves to bring their brand together as often as possible. It also seems like players love the idea of Nintendo crossovers and perhaps have come to expect it. If a player decides to perform a system transfer between their 3DS and another Nintendo system, they'll be treated to another crossover. Anyone familiar with the Pikmin games will immediately recognize the little leaf-headed characters who appear on screen during a system transfer. These tiny characters are often helpful in games, so it makes sense that they're called in to help during a transfer as well. After all, they're used to carting around large items to help out. During the transfer, users can watch the tiny Pikmin carry their files from one system to the other. It's adorable for sure, but not necessarily practical. Perhaps Nintendo wanted to find a way to entertain users while they deal with the tedious task of a system transfer. Number 2. Gyroscope photos. The Nintendo 3DS includes a camera users can utilize to take photos or video. The 3DS is also capable of taking 3D photos by using the 2 cameras on the back of the system as opposed to using the single camera on the front. This is especially fun for users who want to try out all the features they can. The 3DS camera also has some special features users can explore. One feature is the capability to use the camera on a timer. Some users may like the stop motion aspect, which uses photos and merges them into a video. Then there are the special graphics that users can apply apply to their photos, such as sparkles, which can be applied by blowing into the microphone on the 3DS. The gyroscope on the 3DS makes these graphics even more interesting. While moving the 3DS around, the graphics will fall or move according to the rules of gravity. Turn the 3DS on its side and the graphics will shift to accommodate gravity according to the gyroscope. That's pretty impressive considering this is a handheld system. It shows that Nintendo put more thought into their camera features than simple overlay graphics. Number 1. Favorite color. Nintendo users love creating Miis. Whether those Miis match the player or are an amalgamation of different features drawn straight from a gamer's imagination, creating Miis is simply fun. This is probably due to the diversity in Mii choices and the different results players can get while creating their Miis. When players create their Mii on the Nintendo 3DS, they're asked what their favorite color is. Players may have noticed that this causes their Mii's shirt to change to their favorite color. While this is a nice change, most people probably think that this has no effect on anything else regarding the 3DS. Actually, the color of a Mii's shirt does cause a change in the gameplay on the 3DS. Most specifically, it relates to Street Pass quests. Depending on which color a player chooses as their favorite, their Street Pass quest may have different conditions or magic which can be used in battle. For example, a red shirt would unleash fire magic during a player's quest. A light blue shirt color can unleash freezing magic. Every shirt color has different abilities to use in the Street Pass quest. The fact that Nintendo went so far as to give different shirt colors different abilities is impressive. It just goes to show that they care even about the smallest detail in every game. So, did you already know your 3DS had a hidden game? Did you discover a 3DS secret we may have missed? Let us know in the comments, and as always, don't forget to check out our playlist. Thanks for watching!
Alright, we're back, and yes, we're gonna discuss one of the most popular consoles ever, the Super Nintendo, which, can you believe, is turning 26 years old come November 21st, 2017. In honor of its birthday, we will be discussing the Super Nintendo in some super detail. We're going to look at 10 things you never knew your old Super Nintendo could do, because if you didn't know them by now, you'd probably never know them, unless you watch this video. If you haven't clicked the like button, be sure to do so and subscribe to our channel. Let's get into it. It's a chameleon. Oh yeah, that's right. Your Super Nintendo could be a color changer, or rather, it will change color over time, regardless of how it's maintained. If so, consider yourself lucky because your Super Nintendo was amongst the very earliest produced. Yup. The most original of the original Super Nintendos were manufactured with ABS plastic, which just so happens to be flammable. To counteract this flammability, the plastic is often mixed with flame retardant materials, as was the case for the Super Nintendo. However, as with all first releases, the mixing process was not perfected on the early SNESs and, as such, changed color. Over the course of several years, the nice gray plastic you love will mature and develop into a lovely yellow. Seriously, this thing turns yellow, it's ridiculous. It turns out that it's all because of ABS plastic's reaction to UV light. More than likely, your Super Nintendo, if you still have it, is gray. If not, who knows, maybe you'll be able to flip a profit. Something tells us that if the yellow Super Nintendos can command a premium, they'll be all the rage online. Let us know in the comments if yours is yellow. Use a mouse. Okay, try to contain yourself. Did you know you can play Super Nintendo using a mouse and mouse pad? Yeah, super gangster style. Though it looks a little small, as in child-sized small, and cute in a bad way, we can think of no better way to game. We want it to be like shooting fish in a barrel, really badly, but we suspect the mouse is absolutely awful. As you may have remembered, the mouse and mouse pad were originally released as a bundle package in combination with Mario Paint. It was made for Mario Paint, but it also worked for Acme Animation Factory, Doom, Jurassic Park, and Lemmings 2, just to name a few. When looking at the mouse, it resembles all things 1990s. This thing just reflects a period in time where Home Alone type ingenuity was all the rage. In the end, the mouse and mouse pad were only a small scratch in the ridiculous peripherals for a gaming console. For example, take a look at the Super Scope 6 or the Zapper. If they were willing to produce those, you'd bet they'd produce a mouse and mouse pad. So big shout out to those brave creators and the innovations we hold so dear. The Super Multi-Tap. Now this may be a reason to repurchase a Super Nintendo, maybe several controllers and some games, because did you know that you can play with up to 5 players using the Super Multitap? We didn't either. With 4 ports on the Super Multitap and 1 remaining port available on the Super Nintendo, you get 5, and let's be honest, playing video games with your friends is the best way to play. There's always a time for serious gaming, but when you're just with your buddies, this is a great way to go. No subscriptions, no extra fees, just plug and play, baby. Initially, the Super Multitap was a part of a bundle purchase to include Super Bomberman, but it was eventually sold as a standalone product. Perhaps most surprising, though, are the games you can play using the Super Multitap. Get ready to be blown away. Using the Super Multitap, you can play NBA Jam Tournament Edition, Super Bomberman 2, Secret of Mana, Smash Tennis, and Madden 95. Yeah, you heard that correctly. You can revisit classic sports games like Madden 95, Smash Tennis, and NBA Jam with 4 of your best friends. Now is time to re-up. Play golf. Continuing on with this wave of enthusiasm, we present to you TV Golf, the only video golf game with swing. A digital golf club peripheral measuring a laughable 26 inches long. Who knows, with enough practice, you can end up playing with the pros. For those who don't know, an average male and average female are approximately 5 feet 10 inches and 5 feet 5 inches respectively. Meaning, a 26-inch golf club would be best suited for someone in the sub 5 foot range, around 4 feet 8 inches, which is the average height of a 10-year-old. But don't worry if you need a shorter club, because Nintendo has you covered. By also offering a length adapter, the TV Golf allows you to shorten the club. Who knew there's an adapter for anything? Genius. Maybe this game was just meant to be for kids, but who knows? The club could pair with any of their golf games. PGA Tour Golf was among the most popular, which seems pretty grown up to us, so maybe it's not just for kids. Now that we don't have to ask our parents to purchase digital golf clubs for us, maybe we'll just have to find out for ourselves. Play baseball. Another sports peripheral, the Batter Up, brought digital baseball bats to the Super Nintendo. In the mid-90s, baseball was all the rage, so it's not surprising this idea made it to the production line. Fan-favorite baseball games included Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball, Ken Griffey Jr.'s Winning Run, Super Baseball Simulator 1000, and Tecmo Super Baseball. And guess what? You can play all of these games with the Batter Up. You heard us right. The best baseball games of all time on the SNES are all playable with the Batter Up baseball bat. Perhaps you'll remember the blue foam covering or the buttons on the side. Instead of a sensor like the golf club, this one uses switches to register each swing. What's especially great about this peripheral is that it's not comically short. At a respectable 24 inches long, 2 feet is probably all the length you'll need in a digital bat. Any longer would be a nuisance. So if you're nostalgia purchasing the Super Nintendo, a Batter Up would be a great purchase. If you can find one. Scouring Amazon, we haven't found one, but there may be one lurking on eBay or at your local game shop. Pick up the bat and you're guaranteed to have an awesome stroll down memory lane. Connect online. If anyone wants to talk about the origins of online gaming, no recollection would be complete without some mention of the Super Nintendo. While online gaming might be a bit of a stretch, it was online capable nonetheless, and therefore counts. Yup, the Super Nintendo was one of the early pioneers in online gaming. Not only that, but the Super Nintendo was also one of the earliest pioneers to use a subscription billing service similar to Xbox Live. With an attachment device known as Satellaview, this device was released by Nintendo to the Japan-only market. Players were able to connect to St. Giga, a satellite radio station where they could listen to music specific to the St. Giga network, and also download things like extra levels, game items, and full games specific to the network. The Satellaview could connect at a specific time every day for an hour to download the latest Satellaview specific releases. Anything downloaded from the network was saved on a memory card used only for the device. Gamers were required to purchase the Satellaview to gain access to this network of valuable game editions, and the service also required a regular monthly fee. It's crazy to think this kind of connectivity was possible in the mid-90s. Play Game Boy. The Super Game Boy was an official add-on from Nintendo, designed to give players the ability to display Game Boy games on a television. It was the first time Nintendo developed a way to play Game Boy games off of the handheld device. The Super Game Boy looked almost identical to the Super Nintendo cartridge and featured a slot at the top for players to place their Game Boy games. It released 3 years after the SNES launched and gave many handheld addicts a relief from the tiny screen and the required 4 AA batteries. There were also a handful of titles that benefited from the Super Game Boy giving them additional sounds and a 2-player option which wasn't even possible on the handheld. Where things get really impressive is that the Super Nintendo was never designed to be compatible with the Game Boy, which meant the Super Game Boy was not just a cartridge. It actually had a Game Boy CPU inside to process the games. Yup, consider these the golden years of gaming. Super Advantage Fight Stick. For the original Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo released an official fight stick called the NES Advantage. With Nintendo opting not to release a successor to the Advantage, the company Asahiware decided to manufacture one instead. Many believe this was an improvement to the original design. The Super Advantage fight stick gave fighting fans a whole new way to play titles like Street Fighter II, Final Fight, Mortal Kombat 2, Killer Instinct, and the Clay Fighter series. The controller had a slow button and featured sliders for things like speed and turbo options, which was in contrast to the NES Advantage, which used dials. Arcades were still largely popular during the mid-90s, and the Super Nintendo featured a large selection of popular arcade fighters. As such, the Super Advantage Fight Stick was the perfect addition to a gamer's growing SNES collection. A Super Advantage, if you will. So how do you up the nostalgia factor and dominate your friends on old systems? Simple. Get the Super Multitap and the Super Advantage Fight Stick. While they're all plugged into old controllers, you can whip this beast out and button mash to your heart's content. After all, you've got the power of an arcade in your hands. Game Genie. In the 1990s, the Game Genie was a console cheater's dream. Released for almost every console, the Game Genie allowed players to enter game-specific codes in order to unlock a plethora of game features, depending on the game. Often, these codes were in a little book some of you may remember. The Game Boy even had a special compartment to carry your cheat codes on the go. God mode, unlimited ammo, and level warping were only some of the hacks possible through the device, which loaded into the regular SNES cartridge spot. Some games contained a performance-enhancing chip, which the Game Genie wasn't able to work with, though this was patched in later versions. But if you thought Nintendo was cool with the Game Genie, you would be wrong, as in completely wrong. Nintendo was so frustrated with Galoob, the maker of the Game Genie, they took them to court over the device. While the lawsuit was ongoing, Nintendo started internally modifying its consoles with minor game changes so as to stop the Game Genie from working as intended. Cheating or not, the Game Genie was a lot of fun. It's not like you could post records or anything, so no harm, no foul. Not a coaster. We conclude this list with something we absolutely guarantee you did not know, unless you were working with Nintendo in the 90s. Have you ever noticed anything interesting about the original Nintendo design? Maybe how it was completely flat or the perfect spot for users to place their drinks during a marathon gaming session? They did. The original Nintendo featured a flat top design with the cartridges placed inside through the front of the system. As a result, Nintendo found out several gamers would place a large quantity of odd objects on top, namely beverages. Because of this, Nintendo figured the Nintendo Entertainment Systems would need to be serviced for drink spills. So, as a result, the designers of the Super Nintendo purposely designed a unit so it could not be used as a coaster. The reason Super Nintendo games load directly into the top of the system was to keep gamers from placing anything else on top of the console. So now you can see why your Super Nintendo Entertainment System is intentionally not flat, and they did this as a favor to you. Nowadays, they'd keep it flat and hope you spilled. Knowing ourselves, we're sure we could cram something on there if need be. Challenge accepted. Well, that's it for us. We hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to support our team by clicking the like and subscribe buttons. And if you'd like to be on the cutting edge, be sure to click the notification bell. Did you have any of these peripherals back in the day? Did you learn anything new about the Super Nintendo? Let us know in the comments section below and check out some other videos in our amazing playlist. Thanks for watching.
The Nintendo Switch is a powerful game console that packs a surprising amount of technology into a tiny package. If tiny packages do it for you, that is. Whether you were an early adopter or you recently went out and picked up a Switch, there's a good chance you haven't taken advantage of all the unique features Nintendo has packed into this machine. Before we dive in, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all our videos. Okay, let's take a look at 10 Nintendo Switch tips and tricks you probably didn't know. Use a USB keyboard. Sure, you can use a game controller to type words, names, email addresses, and passwords into a game console. You can also dig a trench with a soup spoon. Yeah, it's gonna take a little while. The thing is, you probably wouldn't want to. You'd want to use a shovel, like a rational human being, or a front-end loader, whatever. For every job, there's the perfect tool, and if the job is typing text on a screen, a game controller is just about the furthest thing from a perfect tool as you can get. Wouldn't it be great if you could use a real physical keyboard to type words on your Switch? As it turns out, you can. Who would have thunk it? Just plug a standard USB keyboard into your Switch and anytime a text field with a keyboard appears on screen, you can type on the physical keyboard and the text will appear on the screen. Voila! It's like a computer, but it plays Nintendo games. This is useful whenever you need to enter long, complicated passwords or type your address and credit card information into the eShop. It's great for adding text to any screenshots you take before posting them to social media. And once an MMO hits the Switch, it'll become even more useful as it'll let teams chat and strategize without having to peck each key individually with the Joy-Con. That's my own personal hell right there. So if you enter a lot of text into your Switch, think about getting a USB keyboard to make your life easier. Browse the internet. Let's say you're playing Super Mario Odyssey and you're struggling to find the last moon in a level. Or maybe you're stuck on a puzzle in Breath of the Wild and it's driving you crazy. When you need a little hint, or you just want to check your email, it helps if the device in front of you comes with Internet Browser. Unfortunately, the Switch doesn't have an app that lets you surf the web. Or does it? Dun dun dun! The Switch comes with a very limited browser that seems to be intended mostly to let players log into public Wi-Fi hotspots. You know, the ones that make you click a button before letting you on the network. But if you go into the Switch's user settings and click to link your Facebook account, you can actually navigate to Facebook proper by clicking any link on the page. Now that you're in Facebook, you can browse around to your heart's content. Oh, what a cute cat. To get a mouse cursor, just press on the left analog stick and one will appear. Unfortunately, you can't use this method to visit any URL of your choice, but you can still see what your friends are up to on Facebook and navigate to any pages you find linked from your homepage. That's something, right? So even if you can't find a guide for the game you're currently playing on the Switch, you can still browse Facebook between Mario sessions. Pair a Joy-Con with your phone or computer. The Nintendo Switch is quickly becoming one of the best video game platforms on the market. From Mario and Zelda to ARMS and Splatoon, the Switch has a sizable library of killer games that could take you years to complete if you wanted to play them all. And who has that much time anyways? But suppose you've breezed through all your Switch games or you just want to play the hot new game on your phone or computer. Thanks to the Joy-Con's Bluetooth capabilities, you don't need to put down your Switch controller to do it. All you need to do is tell your PC, Mac, or Android phone to search for a Bluetooth peripheral. Then press the sync button on your Joy-Cons to have it look for new connections. Once the two devices find one another, you're good to go. The only catch is you have to be playing a compatible game for your Joy-Con to work. On Android, games like Minecraft, Final Fantasy, and the Grand Theft Auto series are compatible. Most PC games don't natively recognize Joy-Cons as controllers, but you can sidestep this issue by using a program called Joy2Key. It lets you map your Joy-Con's buttons to mouse and keyboard inputs. It's a brave new world out there for gamers, so grab a Joy-Con and start playing games on your phone or tablet. See how long you've played a game. When you love a game, it's easy to spend dozens or even hundreds of hours exploring every inch of the digital landscape it contains. Like Super Mario Odyssey, I've been playing for days. Oh, wait, don't I have a job? But when you play, time can slip away and you can lose track of just how much of your life you've spent playing the game. Some games have built-in timers to keep track of your playtime, but many don't. On another gaming system, that might mean there's no way to see how much time you've spent playing any given game. But the Switch's operating system keeps track of your hours, regardless of whether the game itself offers that information. Whether that makes you feel good or feel bad about yourself, hey, that's up to you. To see your playtime, go to your profile and scroll through your play activity. There you'll see how much games you've played and how long you've spent playing them. The only catch is that it won't show you this information until you've had the game for 10 days. Who knows why that is, but during that time, it just tells you how many days ago you first played the game. Once you've had the game a week and a half though, it starts showing you your actual playtime. You can even check in on how many hours your friends have played their Switch games. Simply go to your friends list and select one of your friends. You'll see pretty much the same information shown on your profile. turn on your TV. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a major inconvenience to power on your television or change inputs. Hey, what are we, cavemen? There are more pressing issues in life than lifting a remote and tapping a button or two, or are there? Even so, if your Switch could automatically turn on your TV and go to whatever input it's set up on when you want to play, that would be nice, wouldn't it? As you've probably guessed by now, your Switch can in fact control your TV's power and input. That is, assuming your TV has a feature called HDMI CEC, which most modern TVs have. The switch feature is actually turned on by default, so you don't even have to do anything to make it happen. It's magic. Just power up your Switch with the TV off, and the Switch will take things from there. Now will it go get me groceries? You can use the time you save by making yourself a sandwich or grabbing another Mountain Dew. It's convenient, right? On the other hand, if it bothers you that your Switch takes control of your television, you can always turn the feature off. To do so, just go to the system settings, scroll down to TV settings, and turn off the feature called Match TV Power State. You're free to do that, but just know that you'll have to press the buttons yourself going forward, and it's a struggle. And who wants to press unnecessary buttons when you could be doing literally anything else? Use another region's eShop. One cool thing you might not know about the Nintendo Switch is that it can't be contained by anything so flimsy as a country's borders. That's right, the Switch is region-free. Region-free, baby! In previous console generations, if you bought a game from Japan or Europe, for instance, it wouldn't work on a console sold in the US. That's because consoles were region-locked. Well, not anymore. That's not the case this generation on Xbox One, PS4, or Nintendo Switch. So no matter where in the world you buy a Switch game, it will work on your Switch, whether you bought it in South Dakota or Sweden. The game might be in a different language, but you know, buyer beware and all that. What, you don't know Swedish? The region-free thing isn't limited to physical copies of games either. It works for digital games on the eShop as well, which means you don't actually have to travel to Japan or pay huge shipping fees to play games that exclusively come out in Japan. All you have to do is create a Japanese eShop account, buy the game, and you're good to go. To do that, you first have to create a new Nintendo account and tell it that you're in the Japanese region. Next, grab your Switch and create a new user. Link that user to your new Nintendo account and you're in business. What's the Japanese word for business? Now just open up the eShop app as a new user and you're ready to buy any Japanese game you want. See what's on sale in the eShop. Gaming is an expensive pastime. Just ask my bank account. Not only do you need to drop a couple $100s on a shiny new game console, or maybe even a new TV, but you also need to load it up with games. AAA games usually retail for $60 nowadays, but with things like season passes and loot boxes, they've gotten really good at vacuuming even more money out of your wallet after you buy them. Hey, we're looking at you, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Loot boxes. And let's not even get into the collector's editions, which can cost hundreds of dollars, depending on what items are included in the box. On the plus side, games usually go on sale pretty often. If only there were a way to see which games are on sale at any given time. Well, on the Switch, there is. Just make sure you're connected to the internet, then open the eShop app. On the sidebar to the left, you'll find a whole category devoted to games that are currently on sale. It tells you the original asking price, plus the current sale price. Holy cheap games, Batman! You can even make a wish list on the eShop to help keep track of the games you want to buy at a later date. While you won't get a notification when your wish list goes on sale, like you will on Steam, you can still compare the two lists on a regular basis. That way you'll always know when a game you've had your eye on goes on sale. Charge it with a battery pack. There's nothing more frustrating than getting in the zone while playing your favorite game, only to be greeted by a low battery warning. No! If you're playing on the go, it's just game over when your Switch runs out of juice. And on the Switch, that happens more quickly than on most other devices. After all, it takes a lot of power to put full console quality games on a handheld. According to Nintendo's official claims, most players can expect a fully charged Switch to last between 2.5 and 6 hours, depending on things like screen brightness and how demanding your game is. With games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you can't play for more than 3 hours without having to charge up. If you found yourself running out of battery on the Switch, here's some good news. You don't need to be near a power outlet to charge your console. Thanks to the Switch's handy USB-C port, you can use a standard external battery to pump more juice into your machine. If you'd rather not carry an extra gadget around with you, you might want to consider buying a Switch case with a built-in battery pack. These devices add weight and thickness to your Switch, but they'll let you play much longer than you could otherwise. Just don't forget to charge your battery pack before leaving the house. Skip the user selection screen. If multiple people in your house like to play games on the Nintendo Switch, the user selection screen is a useful feature. It lets different users keep separate save files and individual friends lists. It's thanks to the user selection screen that your annoying brother won't spend all your rupees in Zelda or save over your progress in Skyrim. But if you're the only person in the house who ever uses a Switch, it's kind of frustrating to have to select yourself as a user each time you hop into a game. Why the Switch asks who's playing when only one user is registered on the device is anyone's guess, but that's the way it is. That's how Nintendo built the software, so we're stuck dealing with it until and unless they change it with an update that may or may not ever come. Thankfully, there's a workaround to this issue. Go to the home screen and click your way into the system settings. Once there, select users and then turn on the skip selection screen feature. Now, when you open up an app or play a game, you'll get to breeze past the annoying user selection step and start playing right away. And you know what that means? You get to spend less time fiddling with menus and more time playing the Nintendo Switch games. That's basically the dictionary definition of a win-win, right? Locate lost controllers. Losing a bad habit is a good thing. Losing a TV remote is just plain annoying. But losing a video game controller is the worst. It can render your whole game console useless, and thanks to the Switch's tiny size, it's all too easy to lose those little Joy-Con controllers. Maybe it fell between the couch cushions or knocked under the coffee table. Maybe the dog thought it was a toy and ran off with it. Where are you going with that, Rex? Who knows where that little piece of technology wound up? Narnia, maybe. Who knows? However it happened, you're now short a Joy-Con, which means you either have to tear apart your house to try and find it or buy an expensive replacement. Thankfully, the Switch's 3.0 update includes a feature that helps you find those long-lost controllers. It even works with the Pro controller or any other Switch controller for that matter. To use the Find a Controller feature, just go to Controllers on the main Switch menu and select Find Controllers. You'll get a prompt asking which controller is lost. Click it, and as long as the controller is in range, it'll start vibrating like crazy. It keeps going as long as you press the button and the controller has battery power. As it vibrates, you can find it by sound or, if it's under your couch cushion, by feel. Even if your controller isn't lost, you can use this feature to work out the knots in your muscles. Or a nice night with the wife. Who needs a masseuse anyway? The Nintendo Switch may seem like a somewhat bare-bones piece of hardware compared to the competition, but it actually packs a lot of cool features. If you know of any other cool tips and tricks, be sure to let us know in the comments below.
Nintendo just loves nostalgia, and they're showing us how much they love it with the release of the SNES Classic. We all know that the SNES Classic is much smaller than the original Super Nintendo and is loaded up with 20 of our favorite games. But there are plenty of other lesser-known facts about the console. Both modern and retro gaming collide in this blast from the past. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our content and ring that bell to become part of our notification squad so you never miss a video. Without further ado, here are 10 SNES Classic facts that you didn't know. Suspend point slots. Suspend point slots might not be a new addition to the SNES Classic, but it's a very welcomed feature to return. Just like in the NES Classic, you can save progress for any game at any point by tapping the reset button and storing the save state in one of 4 suspend point slots. If you're worried about saving in games like Super Mario World and Kirby Superstar, don't be. The in-game save features in these games work perfectly fine, so you don't need to waste the suspend point slot on them. This means things like game progress, unlocked levels, and high scores can be stored using the same process the original developers intended. It's best to use the suspend point slots for any of the 5 games that do not have an in-game save feature. Backwards compatible controllers. That's right. If you're a proud owner of an NES Classic and never invested in a second controller, you can just use one of the SNES Classic controllers and it'll work just like a charm. The D-pad, select, start, and B and A buttons are mapped correctly, while the Y button maps to A and the X button maps to B on the NES Classic. L and R are useless on the controller, but you get 2 A and B buttons, which is pretty good for button mashing. The NES Classic controllers are also forward compatible with the SNES Classic, but it's a pretty useless feature with the missing face and shoulder buttons, unless you want a challenge. The eject button is just for show. The SNES Classic is absolutely adorable. It's like the little brother of the original Super Nintendo, and it's a spitting image in every way. From the colors of the console to the buttons, Nintendo put a lot of effort to replicate the legendary console. While most of the buttons on the console are operable and serve a purpose, there is one button that is just there for show: the eject button. Since you don't need to to put any cartridges into the console, there's no need for an eject button. The eject button of the SNES Classic is completely solid. It can't even be pushed down. Unless you want to play around with the eject button to pass the time, it's not a big deal. At least it's still there. CRT filter. It's not truly a Super Nintendo if it can't be played on a CRT screen. To make things even more nostalgic than they already are, the SNES Classic comes with a built-in CRT filter which can be used to replicate the lower resolution and scan lines of the beloved tube TV. It's much more subtle than on the NES Classic. There's less fuzz blurring the edges of each pixel, and there's finer gradation of color in the simulated scan lines. In other words, it's much neater than on the NES Classic. It's not known whether this is because the resolution of the Super Nintendo is higher than the NES, or just because Nintendo simply felt like softening it. Either way, we really don't mind. Gameplay Screensaver. An interesting new feature in the SNES Classic is the ability to use your own gameplay footage as a screensaver. If you leave the system on for a few minutes without pressing a button, an animated Mario figure will appear on the screen and replay footage from the last minute before one of the saved suspend points. The screensaver can also play the title screens from one of the 20 games on the system. While this can be super confusing to watch after leaving your game unattended for a few minutes, it's awesome that you're essentially watching yourself play. The chords are very short. What if we told you some parts of nostalgia aren't great? It's an amazing feeling to relive your childhood and have those memories rush back, but it wasn't perfect. A good example of this would be the length of the chords for the SNES Classic controllers. Measuring at slightly more than 4.5 feet, these chords are tiny and significantly smaller than the original Super Nintendo controllers. This doesn't seem like a big deal, but you may find yourself sitting on the floor more to play instead of leaning back comfortably on your couch depending on your setup. Also, these cords can get tangled up very easily, which is something we all forgot can even happen due to modern wireless controllers. The European and Japanese version is so much cooler. This may be completely subjective, but most of us would agree that the European and Japanese version of the Super Nintendo is much more appealing. Just look at the thing! It's an absolutely gorgeous replica of the Super Famicom design released in those regions. Released as the Nintendo SNES Classic Mini, this console is a mouthful to pronounce, but it will most certainly be turning heads. It's packed with some colorful buttons and the iconic Super Famicom logo on the upper right of the console. If you want to get your hands on one of these models in North America, you'll probably have to pay a pretty penny. You get 2 controllers. Probably one of the best features of the SNES Classic is that it comes with 2 controllers. Why is this such an amazing feature? Well, the NES Classic only came with 1 controller, so if you wanted to play with a friend, you were out of luck. With the SNES Classic right out of the box, you can play any multiplayer game from the get-go. It's a huge upgrade because finding a second controller for the NES Classic was just as difficult as purchasing the actual console. Nintendo did us a huge favor here, and we thank them for their act of kindness. The Rewind feature. The Rewind feature is a brand new addition to the SNES Classic which allows you to revert a game to the state it was a few seconds earlier. It's not an easy feature to use as you have to hit reset on the system itself to go to the menu, then tap down on the suspend point and tap X to enter a rewind menu. From here you can go back up to roughly 40 to 50 seconds, which seems to depend on the complexity of the game. The L and R buttons can be used to move at 10-second intervals in the rewind menu. Once you've chosen a resume point, you'll jump right back into the gameplay from that moment. It's a super neat feature. Star Fox 2. It's pretty crazy that out of all of the systems a never-before-released game like Star Fox 2 can be released for, it's debuting on the SNES Classic. This sequel to the cult classic follows the same group of pilots in the Lilat system on a quest to protect Corneria and defeat the would-be invaders. You can't access the secret 21st game the second you boot up the console, though. You'll have to beat the first level of the original Star Fox first. We assume that this level acts as a tutorial for those who don't have any experience with these games, but it should be accessible from the get-go. We really can't complain though, because we get to play a masterpiece of a game that was planned to be released in 1995. If this video doesn't get you hyped up for the SNES Classic, we don't know what will. Are you looking forward to getting yourself an SNES Classic? What are some of your favorite Super Nintendo games? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with our playlist. Thanks for watching.
It's about time you dust off that old N64 you've got tucked away in the back closet. Not only can you relive some great gaming memories, but you can also use the console to discover things you never knew about it before, including online gaming, special accessories, and ways to play all the classic Nintendo cartridges you own. Before you get all nostalgic, click subscribe. You'll join our notification squad and be the first to know of new content. Without further ado, here are 10 cool things you had no idea your old Nintendo 64 could do. USB controller adapters. The N64 controller was a very polarizing part of the console. Gamers either loved it or hated it. Either way, the controller mapping and layout was pretty much essential for any game worth playing on the console. This is why it can be so frustrating to emulate classic N64 games on the computer. While trying to play them, it's extremely hard to map out on a keyboard or use some other type of controller with the game. Your best option is to connect the classic N64 controller to your computer's USB port. This can be done thanks to a variety of USB adapters that were made specifically for the controller. Multiple controllers can be plugged into the USB adapter and work instantly for computer gaming. This means you can dig out your special gold-painted controller or one of the futuristic clear controllers with views of the technology inside. Not only will these controllers work well for emulating N64 games, but you can also use them for any other type of computer game. Custom mapping allows you to adjust the input buttons to your comfort, and the N64 controller will become current again. Have fun mining in Minecraft with the N64 joystick. Emulating Game Boy games. Going from the large television of the N64 to the small screen of a Game Boy Color could be really disappointing for players. This is why companies spent years trying to develop ways to play Game Boy games on television consoles like the 64. While a third-party accessory allowed players to access Game Boy games on the console, there was no sound, and it could be filled with glitches. The only true and official way to play a Game Boy game or Game Boy Color on the N64 was with the purchase of Pokemon Stadium and the Game Boy Transfer Pack. While playing Pokemon Stadium, you could go up and visit the Game Boy Tower mode. The way to unlock this mode was beating the Pokemon Stadium tournament on the Master Ball difficulty. Once unlocked, you could play Pokemon Red, Blue, or Yellow using the transfer pack. Not only was the bigger screen a huge advantage, but you also had the option of playing at double or triple the speed. Changing these speed options allowed you to walk much faster, get through longer parts of the game, and do a Pokemon speedrun like you've never seen before. It completely changed the way the game was played and made it much easier to play along with friends. The N64 Power Glove. Everyone has heard of the original Nintendo Power Glove. It received a massive marketing campaign, was featured in the video game film The Wizard, and was wanted by pretty much every kid who owned the original NES console. Ultimately, the controller was a bust, and ended up being more about its crazy design than actually having the ability to play correctly. This didn't stop third-party developers from creating a Power Glove for the Nintendo 64. That's right, there's a Power Glove for the N64, but it's not exactly what you think, and lacks the great aesthetic look and design of the original. The controller wraps around the arm and goes about halfway down the forearm when worn. It features motion controls, but all of the buttons are located on the front section of the controller, where the fingers rested. There were no games developed exclusively for this controller, but it could work with the majority of the games. The motion controls were ideal for racing games. Other than racing, the heavy weight and large size of the controller made it a little too awkward to play for long periods of time. Like the original Power Glove, the product failed and left the market pretty quickly. N64 Expansion Pack uses. When Donkey Kong 64 was released, it came packaged with a special accessory known as the Expansion Pack. This pack was essentially a memory upgrade for the console, as it doubled the internal memory from 4 megabytes to 8 megabytes, which was huge at the time. While it was forced to be used for Donkey Kong and other games like The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask, there were many unadvertised benefits of this add-on. One of the biggest benefits presented by many games was the increase of screen resolution. Games like Excitebike 64, Pokemon Stadium 2, Rayman 2, The Great Escape, and Star Wars 1 Battle for Naboo all enjoyed a resolution expansion to 640 pixels by 480 pixels. That was almost DVD quality back in the day. Sports games also enjoy more fluid motions, smoother textures, and increased performance for quick-paced action. For some games like South Park and Road Rash 64, the frame rate would also increase, allowing the games to look, play, and feel better. The expansion pack wasn't just a quick cash grab for the console. It really did improve gaming, similar to the way the Xbox One X and PS Pro are introducing 4K gaming today. Online gaming.
Imagine how much fun it would be to play the original GoldenEye, Pokemon Stadium, or Mario Party online. Well, that was the idea Nintendo had when it first introduced the 64DD console expansion. Even though it was promoted for months, the 64DD never actually reached store shelves in North America and was only released in Japan. Those who did get their hands on the 64DD were able to use the console to connect online with other gamers. The basic features included with the RANnet starter kit included dial-up internet, access to gaming message boards, exclusive web browser features, and custom avatars. Because the 64DD did terrible in sales, the only game to ever connect online was Mario Artist. In the online game, players could exchange printers and use special printing options to create paper crafts. Even so, it was the very early start of online gaming. Now it's hard to find a console that isn't connected online, and using high-speed internet to connect players around the world. Before the RANnet starter kit failed, Nintendo did advertise all types of other features, including multiplayer gaming, game streams, and free online demo games. It would have been amazing if any of those actually came true. Backwards compatibility. Back in the day, digital video games were not as common as they are today. Nintendo rules the world with cartridges, and that's how it remained until GameCube was released in 2001. With each new cartridge console Nintendo released, gamers would have to set their old games behind and start a brand new collection. Backwards compatibility was not offered, and it was a pain for many gamers who still love the classics. Believe it or not, the Nintendo 64 could actually play both NES and Super Nintendo games. Now don't start trying to shove your old games into the console just yet, because the process required a special adapter. Officially known as the TriStar 64, the device would plug right into the N64 and turn it into a glorified emulator. All of your old cartridges could be brought back to life and enjoyed on the new console. Not only would the games work, but you could play the original Super Mario Bros. Using the N64 joystick. The add-on retailed for nearly as much as the N64, but for some players, it was worth it. Not only could you emulate games, but the device had a built-in cheat function, allowing you to use cheats and change the way games were played. Television remote controllers. Imagine going on a family vacation, checking into your hotel room, and seeing there's a Nintendo 64 built right into the TV. Well, that's the luxury many children got to enjoy during the 1990s and early 2000s. Nintendo made an exclusive deal with LodgeNet Entertainment Corporation to put Nintendo 64 consoles into thousands of hotel rooms around the world. These weren't your ordinary controllers, though. These special upgraded versions were used for both gaming and television controls. That means the TV and game inputs could be changed right on the controller, allowing you to switch back to your Mario Kart race during the commercials of your favorite cartoon. The games were built into the hotel's television service system and could be rented either on an hourly or daily basis. After a long day of visiting vacation spots, there was nothing better than going to the hotel for some gaming. It also helped save some space in your luggage from packing up the bulky N64 console and all of the games or accessories you owned. Along with the N64, hotel rooms were also equipped with custom SNES and Nintendo GameCube controllers. The Nintendo 64 mouse and keyboard. If you really didn't like using the Nintendo 64 joystick controller, then you probably wish the 64DD was released worldwide. One of the packages included with the console expansion was a mouse and keyboard kit. The mouse and keyboard could get plugged directly into the 64DD and really turn the console into more of a computer than something used for gaming. The official Nintendo 64 mouse features a basic gray and white design, but it also had the official N64 emblem right in the center of it. Even though it features the outdated mouse ball underneath, this is still a cool and rare collectible to own. One of the main reasons these accessories were produced was for use with the Mario Artist series of games. There were actually 4 different Mario Artist games released for the 64DD. These included the Paint Studio, Art Studio, and a communication kit for sending image files and having custom print jobs created. The 4th game was entitled Mario Artist Polygon Studio and allowed players to design 3D renders of Nintendo creations and original designs. The mouse and keyboard combo made it a lot easier to control these games and essentially was Nintendo's early version of Photoshop. Playing games from any country. It's always been frustrating to read gaming magazines and see all of these Nintendo 64 games that were only released in Japan. Even if you were able to purchase the cartridge, the region locking on the console would prevent it from ever playing. This all changed thanks to the release of the Passport Plus for the Nintendo 64. The third-party add-on accessory could turn your console into a region-free device and work with virtually any game. Once the Passport Plus was plugged into the console, the game cartridge would be added to the top of it and load just like any other game. This means you were able to play some of Japan's biggest hits, which never made it to the United States. This included Bomberman 64. North America got a 3D Bomberman release, but Japan's version was a classic 2D port of the game. Known for its smooth playing, and awesome multiplayer action. Another must-try Japanese game was Doraemon 3D. This game actually lets you create your own side-scrolling adventure, similar to the current Super Mario Maker. Even though a majority of the games only featured the Japanese language, you could manage to get by and understand a lot of the basic gameplay as you tried it out. Game Shark Online. First there was the Game Genie, and then there was the Game Shark. The N64 Game Shark was the ultimate cheating device, allowing you to get unlimited lives, change the way the game looked, and manipulate different settings. While a lot of players had the Game Shark 64, there was a little-known accessory that got released known as Sharkwire. Sharkwire was actually a small glimpse of what online gaming is like today. By purchasing the Sharkwire, players could connect the N64 to the Game Shark online service using dial-up internet. The whole package came with a dial-up modem, a keyboard, and thousands of codes that were already preloaded. Email and web page access were also made available, and the content was screened for children aged 14 and under. Once connected, full game saves could be downloaded to the Game Shark memory card. This gave players access to the whole unlocked roster in WWF No Mercy, every door unlocked in Super Mario 64, and every weapon and level available in GoldenEye. This was a gamer's dream back in the day, but not too many players took advantage of the great service. Of course, this is all the norm today, but you would have been the coolest kid in school if you took control of your N64 like this. There you have it. Is there anything we missed? Do you miss the glory days of simple gaming? What's your favorite N64 secret? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to TheGamer on YouTube to stay up to date with all our awesome videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on TheGamer.